the wholesale portal for Deephaven Mortgage. In today's video, we are going to go through adding Step 1, an URLA for a manual application. You want to make sure that you navigate to deephavenmortgage.com under the Wholesale tab, Wholesale Portal. That will take you into the Haven. From here, you can go ahead and start your new application. All you have to do is click on the plus button next to the word New, and then New Application. From there, you'll follow the prompts. Since we are going to be doing a brand new application that does not have a 3.4 or 3.2 file available, we're going to do a manual application. So we're going to go ahead and select on Start New Application. From there, there'll be a couple of drop downs to make sure that you do go ahead and complete. This is Wholesale, Deephaven, we have Matt as our loan officer, and we're going to go ahead and add myself as the processor. If when you are trying to update either a loan officer or a processor and you don't see their name in the drop-down list, be sure to consult your Deephaven sales account executive to get them added. From there, we're going to go ahead and choose the purchase. And in this situation, we are going to be doing a purchase as our purpose, and the loan type is going to be conventional. The next pieces of information that we're going to include is just the general information of the borrower. So we have Andy America here. We have given him an email address, and we're just going to go ahead and add in his birth date. Again, you'll just be following the prompts to be sure that all of the information has been added. Once you have added that borrower information, continue to scroll down to be able to include the information in regard to that first property, typically where he is residing as of today. So we're going to go ahead and use that information. Everything has pre-filled, and then now we're going to go ahead and update that subject property address. So he's moving down the street from East Kimberly to West Kimberly Road. From there, we're going to proceed to review data. If, however, you do have a co-borrower, you can quickly add that co-borrower information at the bottom of the screen by clicking on Add a Co-borrower. We're going to proceed to review data. This next point is just to be able to make sure that we have the correct information. So we do have Andy America here, and we are doing a purchase, and the borrower type. Andy is going to be the natural person that is going to be on this loan. If you do have a DSCR loan where the borrower is actually an entity, like an LLC, you would choose entity. But for this particular situation, we're just going to do Andy America as an individual natural person. From there, we're just going to verify that address that we just input, as well as that it is a purchase through non-QM. We're going to go ahead and proceed and register the file. We'll see those dancing dots letting us know that it is thinking as it is moving through here. And these are the same screens that you would see if you had a 3.4 or a 3.2 that you had updated or uploaded. Couple of resources that I do want to call out from here is if you do need to go out and take a look at any of the training videos, we do have that at the top of your screen. There are training videos. Those videos are going to cover everything from a general overview to doing a change of circumstance and beyond. We also have a resource page as well. That's where you can find rate sheets, matrices, more information about our appraisal ordering system as well. But let's get back to that manual application. From here, we will start to see some tabs across the top. And because this is a manual application, there's nothing in here at this point in time. We do use that color coding here within the Haven of that red, yellow, and green. The icon definitions you can see on the left-hand side of the screen. Green just being, you're good to go with a check mark. Yellow means that it's optional for submission, meaning if you have more information, please feel free to go ahead and submit that. You'll see that with a yellow or a question mark. And then red is going to indicate that that is something that we need prior to loan submission. That same color coding, again, you'll see across the top, we don't have LTV information or a FICO score or even a rate or DTI because that is part of the missing information that we are going to be updating and including as part of this manual application. On the left side of the screen, we have our loan summary, and we're going to start with step one within that URLA. So you can go ahead and click on the hyperlink or go ahead and click on that arrow, and it is going to open up all of those fields below the URLA. Again, we are using that color coding to be able to include, if it's borrower information that has that red X, means I got to make sure to stop and take a look at that information. Financial information looks good to go, but there may be some pieces that I would want to add in there just to be able to paint a better picture for when this goes to underwriting. I'm going to start at the top of the screen, and the first piece of information that I need to include is Andy's social security number. So I'm going to go ahead and add that information in here, and don't worry, this is a test account, so it is not picking up, nor is it a real social security number. Don't have to worry about that piece. We have his date of birth, but it is also asking for his citizenship. So I'm just going to go ahead and say he's a natural citizen, that he is unmarried. And for vesting purposes, we are going to do this in the natural person name. So we're not doing it in the name of an LLC, etc. From here, we're going to go ahead and scroll down. Now you'll see a couple of more places where those red boxes are going to pull up, or the red informational pieces. So I have his present address on 1823 East Kimberly Road. That housing is going to be that he owns. How long has he been at this address? We're going to say that he has been there for 10 years. You may have noticed as I started to type in this information on the right-hand side of the screen, it went from red, that we had no housing information, to green and a check mark, indicating we have that 2 years worth of residency documented. As we continue to scroll down the page, we can take a look at that income. For our purposes, we do need income to be able to qualify for this loan. And so you have the opportunity in the majority of these sections to be able to add more information in. And you will see that as a plus and then add employment. It could also be income from other sources. Again, you're going to click on that plus, add income. But let's go ahead and add in his income. And I'm going to go ahead and click on current. Again, all of those red spaces are going to be pieces of information that we do need to go ahead and add. This is his current primary employer, so I'm going to go ahead and input his information here. And he started about 10 years ago as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and update first with the year. That tends to be a little bit easier when you're using these calculators. And so I'm just going to go ahead and input that he started on May 2nd, 2013. It is important to make sure that you add that income because this is a loan where we're going to be needing that information. From here, it's a little bit different than just putting in that start date with a calendar. You do have some drop downs. And so for income type, I'm just going to say that this is base income. Go ahead and add in that dollar amount, and it's going to automatically calculate for you, whether it's monthly or you have that opportunity. You can change it to annually, etc. However you want to show that information within the Haven. So we're going to show that Andy's making about $30,000 a month. I'm going to go ahead and click on OK. And then I'm going to go ahead and start entering in a few more pieces of information. Since Andy is self-employed, I'm just going to go ahead and add his current address of where he is employed at, that he works out of his home, and include that business phone number, years within the profession, as well as making sure to include that he is self-employed. So we'll go ahead and get that information updated. And then you'll also notice, just like it happened within the residency, it also is calculating for us that he has been working with Willet Speed and Seed for 12 years now. I also am going to include that, yes, he is self-employed. Again, the yellow pieces of information are great information to share, but if you don't have this information up front, that's okay. It's not going to stop you from submitting this loan application. But I do have this information, so I'm going to go ahead and update this that it's greater than 25%. And again, you have that information that you can continue to fill in within those boxes. We're going to keep scrolling down the screen. If you wanted to add in other income information, you have that opportunity. You can add in those assets as well as liabilities. Again, we haven't pulled credit at this point in time because this is a manual application, but if you did want to add information in there, you can go ahead and click on Add Liability, and it's going to pop up here for you where you can include that information for the Deephaven operations team to take a look at. From here, we're going to continue to scroll down the screen just to be able to make sure that we haven't missed any information. And we do see here under real estate owned, we have that 1823 East Kimberly Road address. This is the primary residence as of today, but it is something that we are going to be selling. And that proposed occupancy, we're just going to say it's other. Again, more information that you have, that is great to include, but again, those yellow items are not necessarily required at this point in time. We're going to take a look at that particular address that we're going to be purchasing, that 2200, and we're going to go ahead and put in that loan amount. You have that calculator there. So if you wanted to include any down payments, etc., I'm just going to go ahead and add in that it is 600,000. So let's go ahead and add that information in here for us, and we'll be able to continue moving forward. And again, sometimes those fields can be a little troublesome. That's okay. Just exit out, go back to the loan amount, and you can input it in again. So again, sometimes the pop-ups work really well. Sometimes that cursor kind of gets muddled in there. And so all I did was exit it out, came back to loan amount, and I was able just to type it in. Loan amount information is something that needs to be added. Occupancy as well. So this is going to be my new primary residence. No units, just a single family. So I'm going to go ahead and put in that information and then getting into that purchase price. Again, now we move into those all-important declarations and these series of yes, no questions. So I am going to go ahead and say that, yes, this is going to be my primary residence. I have had ownership in other properties in the past. So what kind of property did I own, had a primary residence, etc. And so you will go through and make sure that these get answered on behalf of those borrowers. So they're not a first-time homeowner, no family relationship. There's nothing that's going to be coming from anybody else on this particular loan, but it is important to make sure that you go through these and make sure that they are accurate. I'm just going to go ahead and continue putting those pieces of information in here, and then also putting in the information about finances. If you're a co-signer, are there any judgments outstanding against that borrower? So again, just going to go ahead and click on these for our no's. And then we will get down to more information about Andy. So did you or your spouse ever serve? For this one, we're going to say no. And then now we need to get that demographic information. For this situation, we're just going to go ahead and say no. Those informational pieces were not provided to us, but of course we do need to make sure that we put in the information of how that application was taken. In this situation, I'm just going to go ahead and say telephone. The next pieces of information are going to be regarding yourself in terms of what organization that you're with. Again, this is showing Deephaven for our purposes from a testing environment, who the originator is, that NMLS ID number. If you look over on the loan summary side of your screen, you will notice that anything that used to be red is now showing as yellow or orange, and then also green. So we have gotten rid of all of those red boxes, and that allows us to be able to move forward. Be sure to make sure that you scroll all the way down. So if there is more information that you would want to add, sales contract price, we have that information, but any of these other different fields when it comes to that contract, make sure that you go ahead and add in that information. At this point in time, you can go ahead and click on Save. What it's now doing, it is saving all of this information into the Haven, our portal, but it's also pushing all of that information back over to Deephaven for our operational team to review within operations in Encompass. Once it does save that information, on the left side of your screen, you will start to see a loan number. You will also get an email letting you know to be sure to get that application finished up and submitted. These are the first steps that you will need to take with an URLA. That is part of the manual process. If you do have any further questions, make sure that you reach out to your Deephaven sales account associate.